Welcome back to my channel. It's chaotic over here sometimes. White tree frogs are jumping everywhere. My dog is licking my hand. Cute! In today's video, I'm going to be feeding my reptiles and amphibians Dubia Roaches. I'm also going to be making a video about the Dubia Roaches themselves, like as feeder insects, in a continued series that I do on this channel. So be sure to keep your eyes peeled for that. I'm not sure if it'll come out first or second, but yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and feed my reptiles, and I'm going to give you guys some voiceover. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, consider supporting us on Patreon or by becoming a channel member. I'd be happy to have you. If not, that's okay. I appreciate you anyway. And with all that said, let's go ahead and get started. To keep this video from being 300 hours long, I'm only feeding 1 to 2 dubia at a time on screen, but they get more off camera, so don't think that this is like a full meal for them. I wanted to talk about some pet updates because I was like, what should I do? And in the past, when I've showed feeding videos, I've often updated you guys about what's been going on behind the scenes, and I think that that's a really good way to keep everyone in the loop and also let you guys see some cute footage of the animals eating, so that's what we're gonna do. It's ovulation season in the pet room. I'm sure it is for some of you out there as well with your pets. It's the worst time of year, super stressful, not my favorite. Half of the female geckos, if not more, are ovulating. There haven't been any eggs yet, but ovulation season goes until July, and I have the sneaking suspicion it's going to be an egg-heavy year because I have some females that are losing weight in their tails, and that's typically an indicator that they're developing eggs. So far, I've taken Obella, my African fat-tail gecko, to the vet. She's fine, but I did get nervous about follicle stasis due to my experience with Asha in 2019. For those of you who weren't around then, Asha was an African fat-tail gecko I had that died in February of 2019 from follicle stasis. And ever since then, I've just been very hyper aware and have had a lot of anxiety about my ovulating geckos. Obella had missed a couple of poops, and I know that that's one indication for follicle stasis, so I took her to the vet just to be safe. And my vet, she's like the most amazing resource I could ever describe. I absolutely love having her as my vet, and she was able to get me in super quick, and she was also able to give me peace of mind because the vet confirmed via ultrasound Obella is developing follicles, but they're not in stasis, like they're not stuck yet, and they're not eggs. So it could go either way, so it's kind of just like a waiting game, unfortunately. The vet just said to give her extra calcium and extra feedings, just like is the case with a lot of the other ovulating geckos. So that's what we've been doing, and she's been fine. And also she pooped a bunch. So I think maybe she just backed up for a few days or something. Another update involving the African fat-tail geckos is that I recently switched Obella and Jamie to halogen bulbs for the daytime heat and under tank heaters for at night. So previously they had under tank heaters 24/7, and now they have 12 hours of halogen bulbs and 12 hours of the under tank heater. My goal is to use heating from above for as many geckos as feasible, and that has to come with time, unfortunately, because I have so many, and also because the enclosures don't have screen tops. Like, there's a lot that has to go into it, but I am slowly transitioning them for sure. Right now, I'm happy to report that all of my African fat-tail geckos have heat from above. Obella and Jamie have halogens, and my gecko Oberon has a deep heat projector. I'm kind of experimenting with both of these options to see which I like better, and I'll let you know. Speaking of ovulation, my gecko Roz, who is an enigma, is experiencing heightened symptoms right now due to ovulating. My gecko Sam is as well. Roz has needed some help with sheds recently, and she's death rolled a couple times. She's being a bit food picky, which is also mildly concerning, but not out of the realm of, normal enigma behavior when they're ovulating. Given my experience with the ovulating enigmas, I am prepared to assist feed should it come to that, although it's only ever come to that with Melisandre. Roz has laid eggs before, 10 of them in 2019, all infertile. I hope this year she doesn't do that, but I don't really have much control over it. My gecko Sam just went off food, and she has never laid eggs before for me, but I know both Sam and Gilly had really terrible ovulation season before I got them, so fingers crossed that doesn't happen again. Another update regarding the health of the geckos has to do with Benjen. For those who don't know, Benjen has had an issue with retaining liquid the whole time I've had him. I remember when I first pulled him out of his shipping container, he peed a long stream on me, which I had never experienced before. And this is not normal for geckos. The vet believes it is a congenital defect, especially since my other male gecko Aegon with similar genetics has this issue as well, and he's had it since he was a baby. Fortunately for Benjen, it only seems to have like a flare-up a few times a year, but sometimes Benjen also gets respiratory infections when he has these flare-ups, and I say sometimes, it's only happened once before now, but right now he's on antibiotics and he is not happy about it. Unfortunately, he hates them so much. The last respiratory infection he had was over 2 years ago, and it was resolved with antibiotics, so I'm hopeful the issue is resolved easily this time as well. And for those worried, it's like a super low-grade infection. Like, the vet couldn't even see anything, like any irritation in his throat. He's not doing any sneezing. He just has like a bit extra spit and a little bit of clicking in his throat, which are early signs of respiratory illness. So it's not super severe, but obviously it's something that I want to treat. I'm not sure how to prevent Benjen from having these issues. His husbandry has changed between 2 years ago and now, and he still has the issue. His enclosure right now is a lot larger than the one before. It has more ventilation, it has better ambient temperatures, and he's on paper towel and has an enclosure that's cleaned more often than all the other geckos. The vet just believes he has a lesser immune system, considering none of the other geckos in the house have ever had respiratory issues. The good thing is, even though Benjen hates being on antibiotics, he is still eating normally and he's still behaving as weird as usual, so I will keep you updated on his progress. In some happier news, I have added giant canyon isopods to a few of my arid enclosures to try out arid bioactives, which I don't know if anyone knows this, but they're more challenging to achieve than like a tropical bioactive. But I have been breeding these isopods since last year. I have so many now. I actually just made an Instagram reel and a TikTok about it in case you're interested, but there's so many of them now. They're so cute, and I'm really excited to see if they can flourish in the 3 enclosures I've added them to. I've added them to my bearded dragon enclosure for Nova, my Uromaxis enclosure for Ren, and my leopard gecko enclosure for Meraxes. I am recording a video about it, but it won't be out for a while because I want to make sure I give enough time for any like proper updates and for the colonies to establish themselves if they do. It could be a huge fail. I don't know yet. I have another update about my garter snake Mikasa, who's not in this video, but I will leave a video about her on the screen here so you can see if you don't know, but I do have a garter snake. Her name is Mikasa. She's wonderful. You may or may not know, but she has an old injury that is toward the last 2 inches of her tail, and she had it when she was super young, and as she's grown, it's obviously just gone with her. Like, she still has that part of her tail, but the injury is still there. It's about 50% of the way through the tail, and back when the injury was assessed by my vet, she said as long as the tail tip doesn't die, like, it's technically safe for her to keep that, but at the same time the tail tip could die at any time. And so it's kind of just been like a nervous waiting game for me, and as she gets bigger, I'm worried that it will become more of an issue. The tail tip itself is not dead, and she still can react when you touch it. So the tail tip hasn't died, but later this month I'm going to ask my vet if we can elect to have the tail tip removed. It just seems like even though it's healed, it stands to cause more harm than good by hanging around. I want to have this procedure done before I introduce her to her tank mate, who will be arriving within the next month or so as temperatures continue to get better for shipping. Also, don't worry, Mikasa is fine and the injury is long healed. There's no risk of infection or anything unless it gets snagged and then could cause her harm. She could bleed, she could have infection, she could have exposed bone or whatever. And for me personally, I feel like it's more of a stressor to have it than not to have it, because there's plenty of garter snakes that live with a nub tail and do just fine. And it's so low to the bottom of her tail tip that she won't even notice the difference. But my worry is that, one day she'll catch it on something and it'll break off. One day she'll be shedding and she'll accidentally tear it off. And it's just, I feel like that's way worse than just having it removed and cleansed and taken care of by the vet. It could just be me being a worrywart, but, I'd rather be safe than sorry. Now, the last update is just about YouTube, really, which I know is not really pet-related, but it also is kind of pet-related, so considering I do both of those things, I figured I would share. It seems like no matter what I post on YouTube for the last 2 weeks, whether it's a normal video or a short, it's not being recommended, and I'm getting half the views or less, seemingly out of nowhere. It's very frustrating. YouTube or making content in general can be frustrating and it can be challenging to grow. I love what I do. I just wish I was at a point where I felt like it was what I could always do and didn't have to worry. And I'm sorry for venting. I just figured since I'm always honest about my pets, I might as well also be honest about this side of things too. oh, and YouTube Shorts is trash. You make like 3 pennies off of 50,000 views. I have enjoyed making shorter content recently, namely Instagram Reels and TikToks, but I don't think it's feasible on YouTube if it's going to continue to hurt my regular uploads for me to continue to post shorts. I might do like 1 a week, but I was doing shorts like every day or every other day that I wasn't posting a normal video. I don't think that I can do that anymore. It's the worst thing about content creation. There's no way to tell what will be successful and what won't. The algorithms are different on every site and they change all the time. What does well on TikTok will do just okay on Instagram and will do terribly on YouTube. What does well on YouTube does decently on TikTok and Instagram, but not as well. I just wish there was a rule book for what's going to work and where. It feels like to be a successful YouTuber and to be a good, ethical pet keeper might not always be things that can coexist. Anyways, I'm done complaining. But I just felt like it's only fair if I'm always giving you guys like the truth about animal keeping. I should also give you guys the truth about how challenging YouTube can be, because while I love it, it is not easy. Along the lines of YouTube, if you've made it this far in the video, let me know what you guys would like to see. Is there something that other creators are doing that I don't do that you think I would benefit from doing? Or is there content in general you would like to see? Or even if it's content I've already made that you think would benefit from being remade, just let me know if there's anything in particular that you would want to see, and I will add it to my list. But it feels like making educational content might not always be the way to have success, and I think I'm gonna have to vary it up by making something that, you know, might draw more people in that isn't strictly educational, which is unfortunate, but I think that's just the nature of the world. I guess this is probably also a good time to mention that if you're interested in seeing content from me, but maybe YouTube doesn't show it to you, Instagram and TikTok are available. I do post there every single day. And if you would like to support what I do and YouTube is kind of making that difficult, you know, like maybe you don't see my videos or maybe you get unsubscribed, if you want to become a patron or a channel member, you will always be notified when I post videos because I post them early on those platforms. So I love this clip of Durian. Sorry, I got distracted. But I'd be really grateful for your support, and if not, that's okay, but I just figured it's a good time to mention that. And lastly, the most exciting news of all that I've saved to the very end, I have 2 rehomes coming in the next month or so that aren't Mikasa's tank mate, so that's pretty exciting. And if you would like to see them early, Patreon and YouTube member is the best way to do that, because I share details about them and photos of them, you know, the moment I know I'm getting them and when they ship and when they arrive, all that jazz. So if you're interested, that's another way to, you know, get a little behind the scenes information. Also, I literally agreed to take in these 2 geckos last year, and I've just been waiting for nice temperatures to ship them all this time. But if you want to take any guesses as to what they are, drop them down below. Maybe I'll tell you guys. Probably not, but it's still fun to guess anyway. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Jackson's tail is literally so long. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. I hope you found this informational, insightful, or at least fun. Please consider liking, subscribing, leaving a comment. Check us out on Patreon or becoming a channel member. We'd love to have you, but if not, that's okay. He's about to hit the tripod. And I hope you have a lovely day. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye. And a special thank you from me, Viserion, and all the other animals in the house to our channel members and our patrons.